Hi children, wishing you a wonderful day. Before I start the class, hope you all have taken your readers, pen, pencil to jot down the notes. Watch the video carefully and listen to the explanation and answer the questions asked in between. You are going to see the stolen boat part 2 and a recapitulation of last class. One summer evening, the poet William Wordsworth found a boat tied to a willow tree. He rowed the boat without the owner's permission. When the boat moved, it made small circles in the water. The poet fixed a selected point. Two peaks are mentioned in the poem. Okay, fine. Now let us get into today's class. The important synonyms: horizon, skyline, stature, height. This was asked in last year's before your question paper, annual exam paper. Grim, frightful, fierce. Antonyms: known, unknown, huge, tiny, covert, overt. Let us start with the poem. She was an elfin penis. The meaning of elfin is a fairy-like. So the boy, that is here William Wordsworth, he shares his boyhood experiences. So his love to row the boat. So the sentence, she was an elfin penis. The figure of speech here is personification. The boat is said to be as a fairy. Elfin means fairy-like. So the boat is personified. She refers to the boat taken by the poet for a ride. So here the figure of speech is personification. That is, an inanimate object is treated, that is the boat, it is treated as a living thing, a fairy. Elfin penis, only if you take elfin penis, if it is given, it is a metaphor. And if the whole sentence, she was an elfin penis, then it is the figure of speech is personification. So the lovely boat had a fairy-like appearance. Now a question from this. What does elfin penis mean? Elfin penis means fairy-like. What is the figure of speech implied here? She was an elfin penis. So the figure of speech here is personification. Lastly, I dipped my oars into the silent lake. Lastly, passionately, with great happiness. Oars, long poles with flat ends which are used for rowing a boat. So lastly, with great happiness, the poet vigorously with great force dipped the oars into the lake. The poet, that is the boy, William Wordsworth, started rowing the boat vigorously into the silent, tranquil means silent, lake with great happiness and excitement. Now, a question here. How did the boy dip the oars? How did the boy dip the oars? The boy started rowing the boat vigorously in tranquil in the silent lake with great happiness and excitement. And as I rose upon the stroke, my boat went heaving through the water like a swan. Heaving means rising up, stroke striking the oars. So as the poet went on rowing the boat with the oars in the calm and silent lake, the boat was rising up and gently moving in the lake like a swan. So the poet compares his boat to be like a fairy in the appearance, and the graceful movements of the boat in the water, it made it look like a swan. The boat moved very gently and gracefully like a swan. Now questions here. What are the two things that the poet compares his boat to be? The poet, the poet compares his boat to be like a fairy in appearance, and the graceful movements of the boat in the water, it is compared to a swan. How did the boat move? The boat moved very gently and gracefully like a swan. When from behind that craggy steep, till then the horizons bound, a huge peak, black and huge. A huge peak here, it refers to the black crag. Crag means a rock, a big rock. Behind that craggy cliff or rock stood a huge and black crag, a mountain, at the farthest boundary of the distant horizon. As if with voluntary power instinct upreared its head. Instinct filled with upreared, raise up. So a black and huge mountain filled with power started to act according to its own will and raised up its instinct means its own will and raised up its head. As the boat moved that uneven range of mountain towards an uneven range of mountain till now, which he felt as a boundary, started to loom large, to become large, suddenly as a huge and black peak having a life of its own. So what does the poet say about the black and the huge peak? See, the poet says the black and huge peak, that mountain filled with power, and it started to act according to its own will. It seemed as if it had life and started to raise up its head. I struck and struck again, and growing still in stature, the grim shape. Stature, height. This was asked the last before yours final exam paper. Grim, fearful, frightful. As the poet, with great force, started to struck the oars in the silent lake, the black and the huge peak grew more and more in height into a frightful and fearful shape. So the poet started to struck his oars in the silent lake, and he was going nearer to the mountain, and he felt that the mountain was growing in height, and into a frightful and fearful shape. Towered up between me and the stars. So the mountain started to grow in great height like a tower between the point and the stars. Towered means rose up like a tower, rising up like a tower. So the black and the huge peak, the mountain, rose up in great height like a tower between the point and the stars. The black and the huge peak which loomed up seemed to stand between the point and the stars. A question. How did the black and huge peak rise up? The black and the huge peak rose up in great height like a tower between the point and the stars. And still, for so it seemed, with purpose of its own. Still means continuously. So the black and the huge peak seemed that it was growing continuously of its own free will. So it started growing. He felt that the black and the huge peak of the mountain started growing continuously of its free own will. And measured motion like a living thing strode after me. Strode means walking with long steps. So the black and the huge peak, the mountain, grew of its free own will like a living thing which had the effect of moving, and he felt that it walked and followed the point with long steps. It seemed to the point as if the mountain was a living creature that followed him and chased the point with long steps, with some fixed purpose of its own will. Suddenly the point saw the large mountain looming ahead of him, becoming larger, growing in height. It was a large black and towering. It looked as if it lifted its head and began growing in stature, height. It towered up between the point and the stars. It seemed to the point as if it was following him in measured movement. Measured movement means like a living thing which walks with long steps. The uneven range of mountain, which was his boundary near the horizon until then, now it started to loom large, to grow large, and suddenly the black and the huge peak seemed to have life. So what does the poet mean by measured motion? The black and huge mountain had the effect, he felt that the black and the huge mountain had the effect of moving like a living thing. How did it follow the poet? The poet felt that the mountain followed him with long steps. And the figure of speech here, measured motion. The figure of speech is alliteration. Measured motion like a living thing. It is also like a living thing, it is also a simile. So alliteration, what is an alliteration? Alliteration, you can see there, repeated consonant sounds occurring at the beginning of words or within the words. So here few examples are given there. Carmen carefully thought car or car. The sound is repeated. It is a consonant sound. Steve saved 7 seagulls. Sir. Brain bought black brollies. So what do you notice about each? Each word begins with the same sound. The repeated consonant sounds occurring at the beginning of the words or within words. One more example. She was wide-eyed and wondering while she waited for Walter to waken. So here all were. Okay, so here measured motion. In this poem, we can see measured motion. Ma. So the consonant sound is repeated. So it is the figure of speech here is alliteration. Next one. With trembling oars, I turned, and through the silent water stole my way back to the covert of the willow tree. Covert means hidden place. So the boy's hands were trembling with the oars. In his trembling hand, he changed his course and moved on silently over the calm surface of the lake back to the shelter of the willow tree. So the boy's hands were trembling with the oars in his hand, and through the silent water stole my way. So he changed his course of rowing the boat. He turned back and moved silently over the calm surface of the lake, and he came back to the shelter of the willow tree, back to the covered. Covered means the hidden place. So where the boat was tethered, it was tied in the willow tree in a rocky cave. So he brought the boat back there. The boy's hands were trembling because he was scared of the fast growing and approaching peak. So he hurriedly found his way back home through the silent, calm lake to the covert, to the hidden place, to the willow tree from where he took the boat stealthily. And also one more reason why the boy's hands were trembling is because his inner guilt made him feel that the mountain loomed and towered ahead and chased him. So he felt that the mountain was looming large, it was chasing him, it was towering, and it was following him. All that it was because of the inner guilt. Why that inner guilt? Because he has stolen the boat. He has taken the boat without the permission of the owner. And the second reason, he was a young boy, and in the lake silently, in a silent lake, he was rowing the boat. So he was scared, very much scared. The poet was fully aware of the nature of his act. He felt guilty. The guilt inside him made the nature look menacing and threatening. So it was the guilt which made him feel that the nature was a threat or a menacing one. So he returned quickly to the original place from where he took the boat stealthily. What made the boy tremble? The boy's hands were trembling because his inner guilt made him feel that the mountain loomed and towered and chased him. And then reference to context: with trembling oars, I turned. So it is from the poem The Stolen Boat, William Wordsworth, written by William Wordsworth. It was the boy who was actually trembling because he was frightened that the pig was fast approaching him. He felt so because of his inner guilt. He felt that he had stolen. He had stealthily taken the boat. So the figure of speech implied here is transferred epithet. So what is transferred epithet? In this figure, an epithet is transferred from a word to which it properly belonged to some other word closely connected with it. So here you have few examples. First one, he stood upon a dizzy cliff. The word dizzy belongs to the noun he. He was dizzy, but it is transferred to the noun cliff. He stood upon the dizzy cliff. It is not the cliff was dizzy. He was dizzy and he stood upon the cliff. But here it is transferred from one particular, the adjective dizzy is transferred from one particular adjective to the other adjective. So this is what called as transferred epithet. He passed a sleepless night. The word sleepless belongs to the subject he. So the word or the adjective, it belongs to the subject here. But he, but here it is placed next to the noun night. It is not that night is sleeping. The subject, he will sleep. Okay, so he passed many sleepless nights. So here it is a transferred epithet. Next one you can see there. I admit it was a fun day. It was the girls' experience were fun. It was not the day. So the adjective funny belongs to the subject I, but it is transferred to the noun day. So whenever an adjective which belongs to one particular noun is transferred to the other noun, it is called as transferred epithet. So here you can see, so I have explained what is transferred epithet. So the mountain which was menacing and threatening grew huge and large and dark. It appeared vague and stood high between him and the stars. Stood very high, which also made the boy tremble. So this is also one of the reasons why the boy was trembling. Okay, now let me give the summary of today's class. The poet personifies the boat to an elf, a fairy-like, and its graceful movement to a boat. He calls the lake silent. The poet feels that the menacing mountain loomed large and towered up between him and the stars. The boy trembled because he was frightened that the black and huge peak was fast approaching him and chased him. It was because of the guilt inside him made the nature look menacing and threatening. So he immediately turned the boat to the original place, to the willow tree in the rocky cave, from where he untethered the boat stealthily. So the home assignment, today's home assignment, learn and write question number 10, page number 113. Paragraph writing, learn and write question number 2, page number 117. So only 2 question answers, learn and write properly. And this in your classwork. Watch the video, listen to the explanation and answer from the video. Thank you.